Ask Reddit. What's your biggest flex that you'll never tell anyone? Woman in my office had a fairly long piece of toilet paper attached to her shoe and I stepped on it and detached it from her shoe. I felt like a superhero. I still feel like a superhero about it. Bless people like you. I once had a server purposefully drop something next to our table, just so she could have an excuse to bend over and grab the toilet paper off of my shoe. I still think about her from time to time. Not all superheroes wear capes. My debit card went through for a really large amount and the lady behind the counter had been being so smug and irritating for so long, and then she tried to deny my card because it wouldn't go through for that amount, and I asked her to just please try it. The look on her face when it went through was so satisfying. May I never make that large a purchase again. Fudge that lady. The fudge. Does she know about your credit debit limit? Just swipe that darn card, Karen. Right? She had turned me away once before and demanded I bring a checkbook, but I forgot it and was basically begging her to try my card. Serious. I can count all of the syllables in every sentence during conversation. Then I can tell the person I was talking to the amount of syllables they had just said. It's due to a weird response from my social anxiety. I don't tell anyone Earl because it's just weird and out of place to do so. They would call me crazy. I even have some common sentences and phrases memorized so I can take solace in the fact that I already know the syllables. You are weird. I like you. When I was in high school we did a toy drive with our homeroom classes around the holidays where each class was assigned a family in need to donate money to or buy toys for. By the last day almost none of the toys had been bought from the kids' lists. We'd just collected a modest chunk of money for the family. I went home and told my mom that I didn't need anything but I would like to get some of those things the kids asked for. My mom and dad talked. They'd both grown up poor and knew the money we collected would probably be used on necessities, not toys. So my mom and I went out and came back home with about $300 worth of toys the kids had asked for. I brought them in early before school started and submitted them and the receipts for them to my homeroom teacher. Later on one of my classmates, who I had great disdain for ever since the 3rd grade when he blatantly stole my new pencil, came in and announced he was making the biggest contribution of our class with a $40 donation. The teacher made eye contact with me but I remained neutral and shrugged, so the teacher didn't correct him, just smiled and said thank you to him. I figure he needed that affirmation more than me and I never liked being center of attention anyway. You are more humble than I could ever be. Freaking power move. When my girlfriend and I worked at the same bar, I threw a coaster at her like a frisbee. It arsed over her and like 20 customers only to land perfectly on the neat stack of other coasters like 50 feet away. It was so freaking cool, but nobody noticed except one customer who I later had to kick out for taking a nap on the bar. No point in telling anybody, but I look back fondly on that moment. I saw a guy throw a dart once and hit the backside of a dart already on the board. He was standing really far away in an attempt at flexing, and achieved way harder than he ever intended to. We had camera phones and took pictures, but nobody believed the story anyway. He was really let down that I was the only one who noticed. So I can't understand this story on a spiritual level. I'm sure your toss was amazing. I once hit a golf ball from 30 feet away into a sand trap, where it bounced off a rake and over an embankment, striking the flag and falling directly into the hole which I could not see from where I took the shot. I have gotten to a place in my life that unless I tell someone, it is nearly impossible to tell I have autism. Same dude. Whenever I tell anyone I always get the "wow, I never would've known" reaction. I'm not a big fan of people saying that I don't look autistic, though. I've had people flat out say you aren't autistic when I mention it. You seem so normal. Thanks. I'm happy to hear your expert opinion. When I mention it to people, I would like to hear, wow, you've done well to not show it because it's freaking work. I was in the grocery store and saw an older woman standing in the aisle comparing what was in her car to what was in her wallet, obviously counting to see if she could afford everything. Based on her body language as she walked away I could tell that the answer was no. So I took a 20 out and walked up to her and said, "Ma'am, when you were over there just a second ago this fell out of your wallet." I handed her the bill and just walked away so she wouldn't be embarrassed if she figured out I was lying. I did hear her say thank you, so I half turned and told her, "You're welcome, have a nice night." It was only $20, but I think it made a difference to her, and that felt amazing. Good on you. I was waiting in line at a cashier last year where the woman in front of me saw her card being declined while paying. She told the cashier she was going to her car and coming back, I just paid her bill while she was out and came across her going back in as I was leaving the store. You can tell when people are going through hardship at times, and little things like this actually makes me think if more people helped each other like this, there'd still be hope for humanity. I've done this a few times. One instance was when an older gentleman, grandfather possibly, was at the checkout with a kid. As they got to the end of their items being scanned, he told the kid to put his Fortnite trading cards back as they couldn't afford them. I remember being in that position before when I was a kid, so without second thought I told the clerk to scan them with my stuff. The kid and his grandfather left before I finished, so I ran after them and then went back to finish paying. I think the best thing we can do as adults is to give the kids a better life than we had growing up.